When you think about Martin Luther King Jr., the first thing that probably pops into your head is nonviolence. But was it really just about turning the other cheek? Oh, not even close. Today, we're going to unpack the powerful, incredibly complex, and super strategic philosophy that was the real engine of the civil rights movement.
So, let's just get right to it, right? The big question. Is nonviolence just a fancy way of saying you don't fight back, that you just take it? That's what a lot of people think, and honestly, it couldn't be more wrong.
For Dr. King, it was the absolute opposite. He saw nonviolence as this dynamic, proactive force. I mean, think about that for a second. He actually called it a weapon. This wasn't about being weak. It was all about wielding a totally different and, in his mind, a way more powerful kind of strength.
All right, so let's really break that down. This idea of nonviolence as a proactive force, not some passive stance.
You see, King drew a really sharp line here. This wasn't about being too afraid to fight. Not at all. It was about making a conscious, deliberate choice to stand up to evil, but without using violence. And let me tell you, that takes an incredible amount of courage and self-control. For him, it was a whole way of life, not just some tactic you pull out at a protest.
So, where did this incredibly powerful idea even come from? Well, it didn't just appear out of thin air. It was actually a brilliant mashup of some really powerful ideas from history, religion, and philosophy.
Okay, so a huge piece of this puzzle came directly from Mahatma Gandhi. His whole concept of Satyagraha, which means something like truth force or soul force, was a total game changer for King. It was real-world proof that a huge, organized, nonviolent movement could actually challenge a global superpower. The key wasn't to crush your enemy, but to awaken their conscience.
But the moral heart of King's philosophy, that really came from the Christian idea of agape. Now, this is not some mushy, sentimental kind of love we're talking about. It's this deep, unconditional goodwill for all of humanity. And yeah, that even includes your oppressors. Why? Well, because hitting back just keeps the cycle of hate going. Agape tries to redeem the opponent, not obliterate them.
And this all ties into a really deep philosophical idea, inherent dignity. The system of segregation was built to treat Black people like they were just tools, as a means to an end. So by peacefully resisting, activists were making this incredibly powerful statement. They were saying, we are not tools, we are human beings. We are the end.
Okay, so how did all of this heady philosophy actually translate into action on the ground? Well, this wasn't just theory. It came with a very clear set of rules for the activists on the front lines.
These 6 principles were basically the movement's operating manual. And just look at how they balance what you do on the outside with your mindset on the inside. A couple of things here are just so crucial. Number 3, you attack the evil system, not the people who are caught up in it. And number 4, you have to be willing to accept suffering without hitting back. Man, that took incredible discipline.
And the goal? It wasn't simple. I mean, of course, ending segregation was the immediate target. But the vision was just so much bigger than that. It was also about redeeming the oppressor and ultimately building what King called the beloved community, a society that's truly integrated, built on a foundation of justice and love.
So we've got the philosophy, we've got the rules, but how did this actually play out on the streets of places like Birmingham and Selma? This is where you can see the strategic genius of it all so clearly.
Right here, this is where the strategy just becomes crystal clear. The movement's tactic was to meet the most brutal kind of violence with disciplined, unwavering nonviolence. And that stark contrast? Well, that was the entire point.
The strategy was, frankly, pure genius. It was to use the new medium of television to force America to take a long, hard look at itself. When families all across the country sat down in their living rooms and saw peaceful protesters, even children, being attacked with dogs and high-pressure fire hoses on the 6 o'clock news, well, the ugly reality of segregation became absolutely impossible to ignore.
And guess what? It worked. This timeline isn't just a coincidence. It's cause and effect. The moral pressure that built up from Montgomery and Birmingham and Selma became so huge that it literally forced the federal government to act, leading directly to the landmark Civil Rights and Voting Rights Acts.
But King's philosophy didn't just end in the 1960s. Its impact has been truly global, and it continues to echo in struggles for justice all over the world today.
This whole philosophy really became a global blueprint for change. From the fight against apartheid in South Africa to democracy movements all across the globe, King's strategy has been picked up, adapted, and used again and again.
It's living proof that there's another way to fight for justice besides using guns and bombs.
So what's the number one thing to take away from all this? It's this. Nonviolence isn't just some passive hope, it's a strategic science. It's a powerful, disciplined, and proven tool for actually changing the world. And that raises a really important question for all of us, right now.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world that is still so torn apart by conflict, what can we really learn from this philosophy? What does it even look like to pick up King's weapon of the strong in our own lives, in our own communities, today?